Hello, I'm attorney Lewis Haskell, and it is winter in New England, which of course means ice slip and falls. And ice slip and falls or snow slip and falls, they're a little bit different from every other kind of slip and fall claim that you may have because there's a very strict notice requirement here in Massachusetts. You are required to give the property owner or property manager, or ideally both, written notice within 30 days of the injury. There are exceptions, and there are arguments that can be made to get around that requirement, but you never want to be in that ballpark if you can avoid it. And what I mean by that is it's so much better for a case just to comply with what the statute says than to be arguing about whether or not the statute applies to you. The best thing to do if you've been injured in a slip and fall, really any slip and fall, but especially an ice slip and fall, is to come in immediately and let us take care of it. Certainly, we'll do the notice correctly, but there are also other things. For example, when you have a slip and fall in a supermarket, that's not ice, at least not typically. That's not an ice slip and fall, but you still want to get the notice in quickly because you want to preserve the videotape. Anytime we sue a grocery store, it's the funniest thing because they will tell us and tell us and tell us that there is no video. But by the time the case is in court, certainly during the claims process, they're telling us there's none. At the beginning of the litigation process, they're telling us there's none. By the time we have the manager under oath, and especially the former assistant manager under oath, swearing to us that there is or is not video, there's always video. However, the video doesn't typically last very long. In other words, you have what's essentially a giant CD, right? You have some kind of a storage system. And after a period of time, the video overwrites. Typically, it's a couple of weeks, but it varies. And that may, some places, it may be a bit longer. But the point being, if you wait too long, the video's gone. But once you put them on notice that there's been a fall and you've told them to preserve the video, and then they allow it to overwrite, or then they destroy it, well, that's on them. And there's a whole concept of law and spoliation of evidence, and it's not good for them, so they'll preserve it. But back to the ice slip and fall thing. One other situation that we see quite frequently, in addition to not being able, for whatever reason, to send a letter that meets all the technical details that's required and whatnot, is that sometimes people are reticent to bring a claim because, well, quite frequently it's their landlord, or it's someone they know, or it's a business like a grocery store that they frequent often. And so they want to wait and see how things are going to play out. They're hoping that the injury will go away quickly, or they want to wait until they move out, or something like that. And so what I would say there is at least send a text. There will be arguments over whether or not that's really a writing. Technology changes a lot faster than the law is. The courts are moving more and more to the idea that electronic communications are communications. And so for the most part, we've been okay on texts. On top of that, there is a prejudice requirement. It's going to be hard, especially for your own landlord, but even for market baskets, say, to argue that, for them to argue that they were prejudiced by the fact that the notice, assuming the notice is otherwise perfect, came to them by text rather than by, registered letter. And so at least do something. But the ideal thing, as I say, is to write something, send it certified mail, comply with all the requirements, your name, your address, date, time, place, injury, whatever, that the statute requires. And the best way to make sure that's done right is to come in as quickly as you can. Go to the doctor, obviously, get yourself taken care of. But the next day, even the next week is no big deal. And see us and let us do it the right way. And hopefully you won't need to come see me for that. But if you do, I look forward to helping you. Thank you.